Yes, hi everybody. I'm now going to show you how you can work with ProArc and work with documents in ProArc, and how ProArc is using a data-centric way of organizing the documents. So what you see here is the desktop in ProArc, where you have a list of your recently viewed documents. You have a list of files that you are currently working on, and you have some activity information and task information regarding the work that you have outstanding. But in ProArc, we build what we call repositories. And a repository in ProArc is a container where you can store documents. These containers has attributes, and the attributes are like tags that you can tag the documents with, so it will be easier to find them later on. So in this technical repository, I have, for instance, the project number, I have a document type, I have a discipline, I have an automatic generated document number, I have a title, which is typically attributes used to register the document and have an easy way to find them later. We also have some dates here, to and from supplier and to and from client, which will make it easier for you to plan the deliveries of the documents. And I will show you later on how you can use this to get both an overview of what's due to be delivered and if you have anything that's overdue. But other types of repositories that can be built is, for example, a contract repository, where you have follow-up dates and validation dates for the contract. So you can see here that the attributes in these two repositories are completely different, and that has to be that's because of the configurability that we have in ProArc. But going back to the technical repository, how can we find documents in ProArc? One way is to either search for the documents using the attributes and the values in the lists. Another way is to use smart folders. And a smart folder in ProArc is configured based on the values registered in the different attributes. So these folders will build themselves as when you register new documents. So every new document registered in a specific project with a specific document type will be automatically placed in all of these folders that have the document type specified. So now if I want to find the master document list of a specific project, I can go into the smart folder of that project, open the project, and then click on the link with the MDL, and it will then give me all the 12 documents registered in this project that's due to be delivered at some point to the client. And then we have the result list here, which is the standard default result list in ProArc. But you can also create your own list views. So you can select which type of data you want to show in this list. So in this client MDL list, we have the planned issued to client, we have the actual issued, and we have the planned return from client as well. This means that in this view, you can already have a complete overview of what is due to be delivered, what do we have delivered, and what is outstanding. And if the client requests a report for all of these documents, you can just select all of them, copy them and paste them into Excel, and then send them on an email to the client, and you will then have sent an updated report for that project. If I go into one of the document profiles, you can see that it has, of course, some of the attributes filled in, you have the project number, you have a document number, you have the dates when you expect to receive it from the supplier, and when you plan to issue it to the client. But in addition to this, you also have the full document history in the same view. You have the latest revision with all the files linked to that revision. And you also have the revision history and all the files linked to those revisions. You can also see that each of the revisions have padlocks, which means that all files in these revisions are locked for all users, so no one can make modifications to any of these files. And this is, of course, very handy after you have sent the file to the client. You don't want anyone to modify that file. Then you want them to create a new revision and continue working in that revision. And to import files in ProArc, you can either drag and drop a file directly into the revision, or you can produce a document from ProArc and use company templates or project-specific templates and have information merged from ProArc into the document, like the document number and the title and so on. In addition to this, you also have the workflow history, you have the document history, and all the comments that this document has received on any workflow it has been sent on. And now, if I want to send this document on an interdiscipline check workflow, I've done all my work, I'm ready to send. I just click on the send button, and it will then take me to the start workflow window. Now it's given me the interdiscipline check workflow directly, because that was the workflow I last used. But you can build different workflow templates and group them into different workflow classes. So it's an easy way for you to find the correct workflow template. I'll continue with this one and just check that it's the correct documents that are listed on this workflow. Now I started from one specific document profile, and then I only, of course, have this one profile. But I could have started from a document list with several documents and sent all of them on the same workflow. And then check the recipients of this workflow. I have predefined recipients here based on the project, meaning that all documents sent on this workflow in this project will have these recipients automatically. These are all internal recipients, but as this is a cloud solution, you can also have external users registered in the system, and meaning that you can let your client receive documents in your workflow and return them directly to you in the workflow system here. We also have as a default set number of days for each of the activities. This is set in the workflow template, and I can override this just by clicking on the number of days and enter the value that I need. And then when I'm finished, I'm creating the workflow, and when I start the workflow, an email notification is then sent to the recipients of the first activity. And in this case, that recipient was me. So I'll just switch to Outlook to see if I'm receiving an email notification. So now it was received, and it will then give me some information on the workflow. It will give me the activity and a list of the documents and files that are added to that workflow. So when I click the open activity, it will then take me to ProArc's web interface. This web interface can be used by external, like clients or suppliers, or if you have internal users that prefer to use a web client instead of a desktop client. And in this view, sorry, we have the activity type. We have the list of the documents and files that are added. I can see all the comments that have been added to this workflow, and I can see all the recipients on the different activities as well. And if I want to add a comment to any of the documents, I can either mark the document here, click Add Comment, and then type in a comment. I can also drag a file into this window, and that file will then be linked to this comment. For instance, a picture I've taken if I was on an inspection or some other type of file. And then when I click OK, the comment is then added to the list and is available for all users that have access to this workflow. Yes, so now you've seen how I can add comments to a document. You can also add comments directly to a PDF file, and ProArc will extract those comments and add them to the same comment list. And when I finished my comments, I can then close the activity and just take a look at the other recipients on the different activities. I can add more recipients if I need to, or I can just close the activity and send it forward to the next activity, which is approved, and that was Axel. So now I've done my task here, and you've seen how I get the email notification with a link so I can go directly to that task. But we also have a task list in ProArc, which is called My Activities, which is a list of all the tasks that I have in my work and that I'm supposed to do some work on. I can also have access to other people's task list, for instance, the Document Control Center, or if anyone is on vacation or is absent, they can give me access to that recipient. So now we've seen some about the document, some about the workflow and the activities, and then to wrap it up, I'll show you how you can have control over the deliveries that you have to your different clients. Because in the beginning I mentioned all the dates that we had with the planned issued and the actual issued to client, and I've created some queries here that will give me a look-ahead report, which will then list all the documents that I'm supposed to deliver to any of my clients in any of my projects. And if this list is a bit longer than this, you can also filter, and you can group by different columns in this list. We have the same look-ahead from supplier, which will give me all the documents I'm expected to receive from any of the suppliers that I have. And I have an overdue list, which will give me all the documents that are overdue that I was supposed to send to the client within a specific date. Yes, so thank you. That was what I was going to show you. We've looked at the repository and what is a repository. We've looked at the document profile and the history. We've looked at how to work with a task list in ProArc and how you can track your deliveries. Thank you for your attention, and